So I will summarize the remote meeting procedures. This meeting will be conducted over Zoom. Board members will be attending remotely, and remote attendance counts toward quorum. This meeting may be broadcast live and will be recorded on ECAT. Let's see, while conducting meetings remotely, we will endeavor to keep meeting operations as close to our standard procedures as possible. However, use of this platform will necessitate some additional meeting protocols. While the board members will be on video or audio, public participants will join as an attendee, meaning they're muted with no video feed from them. During any public testimony portion of the meeting, members of the public can be recognized by using the raise hand function found under participants from Zoom, or make a request with the Q&A function. If you are joining only by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. And if an applicant, which is the display materials, which will not be applicable tonight, so I will skip over that part. Business will be handled at all times indicated on the agenda, and I think that is about it for the high points. Stephanie, Wayne, have I missed anything critical on the Zoom procedures?
I don't think so.
All right, great. So do we do attendance first?
Mm-hmm.
On the agenda. So go around the circle. Al, Benson,
Benson present.
Jim Lee,
Here.
Ed Hans,
Here.
Wayne.
We're not members, but we're here.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Dennis, sorry.
Sheedy present.
Dennis, I said Wayne. All right, and Amanda Varela is also present. We have attached to the agenda the regular session minutes from April 11th, 2024. Were there any changes?
I move approval.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor, I'll do the roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Sorry? Benson?
Benson, aye.
Benson, aye. Hands?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Sheedy?
Aye.
And Varela is also an aye, so the minutes are approved. The second item on the agenda is the draft 2025 draft CPA plan and discussion. So I don't recall who was going to report back on that. Or am I looking at the old agenda?
Nope, this is Wayne.
Dennis is piping up. He attended, so Dennis Sheedy attended the Affordable Housing Trust meeting on, I believe it was May 1st. And the group went through the current CPA plan, the portions relevant to affordable housing. We had a good conversation, and I think Dennis might also have a few things to add, and I can also add to that afterwards. Dennis, if you have any thoughts or things to report back.
Yeah, I did meet with the Affordable Housing Trust, and I am on the agenda to meet with the Housing Authority in next week. So I'll be better suited to report back the July meeting. Should have, I would have talked to both boards at that point and see if there's any feedback from them.
And so two things that came out of the trust. Well, there were several things, working closely with the planning board on zoning to support diverse housing options, but relevant to the CPA plan is to go through the current housing production plan and the Affordable Housing Trust Action Plan and make sure that reconciles with items in the CPA plan. And then also one of the action items for the Affordable Housing Trust is to work with the CPC for when there are potential open space acquisitions to consider the possibility of using some portion of them, if appropriate, for housing. So it's to have housing as part of the conversation when considering open space purchases.
Great. Anything else? Not, we will move on to the other substantive matter on the agenda, which is the possible use of CPA administrative funds for the Wheaton Farm barn. So I have a little bit of background, if that would be helpful to refresh everyone's recollection on where we are on this. Does Jennifer Colino need to be
Yes,
promoted?
she's,
Yeah, yep.
Yep. She is in process there.
Hello, and welcome, Meredith.
Yeah, sorry, folks. I'm having a heck of a time staying connected. I've bounced about 5 times so far. I'll try, but it's really unstable.
No worries. We have quorum, even if you have to are temporarily out for a moment. So by way of background on Wheaton Farm, as I'm sure most of you know, the approximately circa 1850 Wheaton Farm Barn is a contributing resource to the Bay Road National Register Historic District. And it is a very rare surviving example of Easton's agricultural history. Wheaton Farm barn repairs are using CPA funds for historic resource restoration, and significantly it's outside of the Northeastern Village area where the bulk of our funds for historic preservation have gone. The tenant, Kevin O'Dwyer, who also operates Langwater Farm, has been very engaged with the restoration and has a need for a more functional barn to support his business operations, which I do recall that we initially discussed when we first considered the application. There were pretty lengthy delays, partly due to the pandemic and partly because it was just difficult to find someone to take on a project that is of a relatively small size. They have found someone who's under contract for $28,000 who's produced near final plans and specs for the phase 1 structural repairs, which we funded with a CPA grant of $190,000 in 2020. The phase 1 structural repair work with re-roofing the main barn as an alternate will be put out to bid this summer. And the estimate is $30,000 or less to produce plans, cost estimates, bid documents, etc. for the phase 2 work, which would include structural repair and re-roofing of the barn addition, restoring the cupola, windows, doors, and replacing the deteriorating siding. We are being asked for CPA administrative funds to procure the phase 2 documentation to support a anticipated fall application for the phase 2 repairs. As you all know, we set aside 5% each year for administrative costs. This year it's $117,750. And after the various costs that we've incurred so far this year, we do have just under $50,000 available for administrative use. And then there's a bat issue, but it's a good bat issue as opposed to a bad issue, which is usually the kind that you hear about. The phase 1 construction work is being timed to protect the bats that roost in the barn and are protected by state law. And conserving the population is very important because 90% of bats have been killed by an invasive fungal pathogen, which sounds terrible. And they're very important to control mosquitoes that spread diseases like West Nile and Triple E. So it'd be impossible to keep them out of the old barn, even if we wanted to. And it's more practical, deemed more practical to accommodate them. And that is the background information I have. And I assume I'm turning it over to Jennifer, if I haven't stolen too much of your thunder with these excellent background notes prepared by Wayne.
No, that was an excellent summary. And we're really excited about this project. We're making great progress, and the coordination between, certainly with Wayne and Stephanie and Ty and Bond, the consultant, and our tenant is great. We're almost finished with the design phase, as you mentioned. And we just want to keep the ball rolling, right? So as soon as we'll be able to bid at the end of the summer and start construction on phase 1. So we'd really like to be able to keep that momentum going and start with the phase 2 design so that when phase 1 construction ends, we're ready to go out to bid and continue with phase 2 and just get the whole thing done and taken care of.
All right, any questions for Jennifer or Wayne or Stephanie on this or comments?
I point out that there's another $5,000 or $6,000 available as matching funds. It's held by NRT and Wheaton Farm subcommittee, and has been voted to be put forward to support the barn. So if
great.
that's needed, it's there.
Right.
So I'm sorry, if I may, Jim, is that from the former Friends of Wheaton Farm group?
That's right. We became a subcommittee of NRT Corporation, and Jim Fowler is available, or at least aware of the situation. I don't know if he's still the treasurer of NRT or not, but he would be available to help locate those funds. There was a formal vote that gave them all to support restoration of the barn.
I'm
Meredith?
sorry. Can I just get the Cliff Notes, because I jumped in here just jumping off a rec meeting. So I know the history there. We were gonna fix the barn. The barn didn't get fixed. We were gonna fix the barn. The pandemic hit. The bats took in residence. Now the barn is in disrepair, and the O'Dwyers want to fix it, or we're fixing it for the O'Dwyers. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I have.
I think the O'Dwyers have always been the tenant throughout the whole.
But it hasn't been
process.
used, right? We couldn't, didn't it?
Right.
It's like
I don't think it's structurally sound enough
Sound,
for them
okay.
to use, is my recollection. Is that right, Jennifer?
Correct.
So we're going back to fixing the barn, and then it can be used by the tenant, correct? And the tenant bats.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Really more squatters, but
Yeah, they're not paying.
Well, they're providing that free service of mosquito control. So
There you go.
right, so I think what I'm looking for is a motion to approve use of administrative funds for the phase 2. Was it 5,000? Did I make that number up?
Up to 30.
Oh, up to 30,000. Significant difference.
And
So
that-
moved.
1,000 is
That
coming
is-
from the Friends group.
So that money, the 30,000, 5,000 from NRT is going to be used for, can't be just structure, because I would think it would be a lot more expensive than that. Is this engineering or?
yep, it's for the phase 2 final design for and the bid documents for the roof, for the addition, for the siding, the windows, the cupola, never know how to pronounce that word, and going out to bid.
Sidebar, I went to Wheaton Farm Day Camp there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
it's a
hear
great-
lots of people say they've been there and they really want to, keep working on restoring the barn. So
Absolutely. If I
great
walked
making
into it,
progress. Thank you.
I'm sure that smell would come right back. It was a really fond experience. It was a great smell and a great camp there.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the use of up to $30,000 in administrative funds for the Wheaton Farm work described? I'll go around and start with Jim.
Aye.
Ed Hands,
Aye.
Meredith Keach,
Aye.
Al Benson,
Aye.
and Dennis Sheedy.
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye. Amanda Varela is aye as well. All right, and so there are no items not reasonably anticipated by the vice chair in this instance, so I will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
All right.
When are we meeting again?
July 11th.
July.
I'll double check, but I think it's the 11th of July.
That's what I
Okay,
have in
then.
my calendar.
The second Thursday in July.
Correct. Yeah,
you, everyone.
Thursday, July 11th.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jennifer.
Have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You gotta
Aye.
do roll
Aye.
call. Oh, you
Yep.
did. You
Yeah,
did.
so
Okay.
Jim Lee,
Aye.
Ed Hands,
Aye.
Meredith Keach,
Aye.
Al Benson,
Aye.
Dennis Sheedy,
Aye.
and Amanda Varela is an aye as well. All right. So I will see everybody on July 11th.
Fantastic.
Have a good night.
Night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.